top 15 best waterfall hikes in the state of Connecticut. Hopefully we don't get too wet.
We're starting off at number 15 with Fallsbrook Falls. Located near West Hartland, Connecticut, Fallsbrook Falls is a 20-foot tall one-tier horsetail and cascade waterfall. And the waterfall is found on a 1.7-mile loop trail that has a difficulty designation of a walk in the woods. Yes, Fallsbrook Falls. This was a pair of fairly standard-looking and sized waterfalls that had just a nice little loop hike trail near it. What was unfortunate, though, was that the taller of the two waterfalls, the lower falls, is not actually on public property, so there is no real trail for you to hike down to it and see it. You can just barely see it through the trees. So instead you have to be satisfied with just going to the smaller of the two waterfalls, which you can get right up close to. So it's the combination of that unfortunate fact of not seeing the best waterfall, but still having kind of an enjoyable hiking loop that brings this one all the way down to its spot at number 15. At number 14 is Hatchbrook Falls. Located near Sharon, Connecticut, Hatchbrook Falls is a 25-foot tall one-tier horsetail waterfall, and the waterfall is found on a 2.5-mile loop trail that has a difficulty designation of a walk in the woods to the falls and off the beaten path for the full loop trail. Hatchbrook Falls is another very standard-looking horsetail fall that isn't nearly as vertical as it looks upon first examination. When you start hiking up it a little bit, it kind of is more of a sliding waterfall, so not as vertical as you might like, but it is very impressive to see up close. A nice, fairly standard horsetail falls. Now this waterfall was off to the side of the trail very early into the loop hike. Of note also, there is a stream crossing early in the trail on the way to this falls, and it is nice that there is a further loop hike that you can do up to the Pine Knob that is part of the Appalachian Trail, and there are a few nice viewpoints up there along the way, bringing this one to its spot at number 14. At number 13 is Nonawag Falls. Located near Bethlehem, Connecticut, Nonawag Falls is an 18-foot tall one-tier horsetail and plunge waterfall, and the waterfall is found at the end of a 0.9-mile out-and-back trail that has a difficulty designation of off the beaten path. Man, this waterfall was really hard to say. I had to practice so many times for you guys. So the trail for this one is extremely easy. You're basically strolling through some farm fields, or should I say next to some farm fields. If you're on the farm fields, you're on the private property, so make sure you stay on the trail. And this one would have been a walk in the woods, except there is a very steep part of the trail that is the descent to the waterfall itself. That is what puts this one all the way up at off the beaten path. Watch out for that. It sneaks right up on you, so to climb down there to see the waterfall like I did, you need to watch your step. But once you're down there, it's a very fun waterfall to look at. I liked how it slid down the rock and then dropped straight down. It was like a combination of two kinds of waterfalls for the price of one, bringing it up to its spot here at number 13. At number 12 is Indian Well Falls. Located near Shelton, Connecticut, Indian Well Falls is a 15-foot tall one-tier plunge waterfall, and the waterfall is found at the end of a 1-mile out-and-back trail that has a difficulty designation of off the beaten path. Now this was a waterfall I really enjoyed. I think it had the most concentration of water flowing over it of all the ones we've seen thus far, and that was part of why I think I liked it so much. It was just coming right out of a nice narrow chute all the way into that big like punch bowl. I think that's why the waterfall has the word well in its name, because it falls straight down in that nice concentrated chute right into this huge big pool of water below. It was definitely the biggest pool of water we've seen on the list thus far at the bottom of one of these waterfalls, and it was just so cool to see. I liked the way the light played off it there that morning that I went. One thing of note you should know for this one is that there is one tricky stream crossing near the road as you're making your way out to this waterfall, and the trail is a bit washed out on the way up to the waterfall. You're kind of hiking along a little hillside that's beginning to wash out, so that's a little bit tricky, but it's a very cool waterfall, and I enjoyed sitting on the rock there, gazing across it, and just seeing all that water gush over it, bringing it all the way to its spot here at number 12. At number 11 is Roaring Brook Falls. Located near Cheshire, Connecticut, Roaring Brook Falls is an 80-foot tall, 4-tier horsetail and cascade waterfall. And the waterfall is found on a 1.5-mile loop trail that has a difficulty designation of off the beaten path. This is an interesting one. This is the tallest waterfall in the entire state of Connecticut. So you'd think maybe that would bring it further up the list, but unfortunately though, you can only see the waterfall from a little distance away, and it also doesn't have that much water flowing over it. Still, even though from that much of a distance, I was blown away. You can clearly see how tall it is and that it was taller than anything I had seen thus far on the list, or even continuing up the list, and so that was really cool. And the hike up to it was rather fun, though a little bit steep. There is a few other fun things on the trail along the way, a few bridges, and there's even like little ruins of a house that used to be back there, but this is a nice one, seeing that water cascade down from that. And as you do the rest of the loop hike, there is another little waterfall a little bit further up the stream that you can see as well. At number 10 is New Preston Falls. Located near New Preston, Connecticut, New Preston Falls is a 20-foot tall, 1-tier plunge waterfall, and the waterfall is found at the end of a 0.3-mile out and back trail that has a difficulty designation of a walk in the woods. I have to say, this is an impressive waterfall. Two separate flowing parts of the waterfall, one on the more natural side and one kind of coming out of a dam, and this is New Preston Falls. It's right in the center of the town of New Preston, so therefore it's not really a hike. There's no real hike involved with this one, but it is just so much volume of water flowing out of it. Clearly more than any of the waterfalls we've seen thus far. It's just so impressive seeing it right there in front of you, that huge roar. And so literally the waterfall is inside of the town, so unfortunately some of the best viewpoints are not really accessible because they're on private property, but the best view that you can get of the waterfall is from a parking lot behind one of the businesses that I've marked it on the map, and that brings it to its spot here at number 10.
Can't get very close to this one. No siree. Maybe we're on the backside. We'll find out. Looks like we did manage to find a better view. Right in this parking lot, but not bad. Look at all that water.
At number 9 is Buttermilk Falls. Located near Plymouth, Connecticut, Buttermilk Falls is a 55-foot tall, 1-tier horsetail waterfall, and the waterfall is found at the end of a 0.6 or 1-mile out and back trail that has a difficulty designation of a walk in the woods. Quite an aptly named waterfall here. A lot of frothing white water there that truly made it look like some buttermilk flowing down those rocks. I quite enjoyed this one and how close you could get to the water. What you have to remember though, as you're making your way down the easy trail and the river past the other rapids and the one smaller waterfall, is that don't forget the third and largest waterfall is the farthest one down. It could be easy thinking you've made it to the end of the trail that you would miss this last one, but don't do that. It's the most impressive one. The hike paired with this waterfall is also rather pleasant, going right down the river next to some rapids and one other smaller waterfall that makes it for an all-around great and enjoyable experience, bringing it to its spot here at number 9. Now, if you're already inspired to go hunt down some of these waterfalls yourself, I have of course created some custom Alltrails maps for each and every waterfall on this list, and I have linked those in the description down below. And hey, while you're down there, why don't you hit that like button on the video? It really helps me out a lot. You really be doing me a favor. All right, now let's get back to the video. At number 8 is Willis Falls. Located near Manchester, Connecticut, Willis Falls is a 40-foot tall, 1-tier fan waterfall, and the waterfall is found at the end of a 0.4-mile out and back trail that has a difficulty designation of off the beaten path. Now this waterfall is just too cool. The two distinct waterfall channels, one more of a horsetail and one clearly a fan waterfall. And I think so many different people are going to be surprised that a waterfall of such high quality and caliber is located practically in downtown Hartford. Okay, it's in Manchester, but like that's like what, like one town over? Like I was surprised. I would have thought I needed to go all the way out into the mountains in the corner of the state to find the best waterfalls. But this one is like, I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on this one. Definitely come check it out. It is so accessible. It's an easy trail, except for there is one stream crossing that involves kind of shimmying across a log or just walking through the water and getting wet. That makes this trail a little bit tricky, but once you pass all of that, it's a nice, easy trail to follow along the stream bed. And as a little bonus, there is one extra waterfall you can see while visiting this one around the corner near the Case Mountain parking lot. But yes, this waterfall is just so impressive and was so much fun to visit. I just didn't want to leave. I'd highly recommend coming and visiting it in the morning like I did. When you come at the right time in the morning, the sun is basically just shining right down the top of the waterfall with the sunbeams shining through and playing off the water as it falls down the falls, making it quite the scenic sight and bringing it all the way to its spot here at number 8. At number 7 is Enders Falls. Located near West Granby, Connecticut, Enders Falls is a 30-foot tall one-tier plunge waterfall, and the waterfall is found on a 0.6-mile loop trail that has a difficulty designation of a walk in the woods. Now, I really enjoyed Enders Falls, which ended up being like a series of 4 different waterfalls that were along this Enders Brook here. There was the one main waterfall that you saw right next to the deck, but there's 3 other different waterfalls, some that you can get closer to than others, that are at different stages along the brook, and the decks and the nice curated path go to all of them. So what adds to the quality of this one is that there's several different waterfalls that you can see all at once, but that one waterfall is also just so impressive the way it drapes off the rocks. It just falls in such a unique, interesting pattern that I just wanted to stay there and watch it for a while. All the different little sections of it that you could focus on. And it was cool that you're able to come at it on those decks from both the top and along the side and see it at multiple different angles. But it's nice to see that the state knows how high a quality this waterfall is, that they've made it very easy and accessible so anyone can come and check this one out and explore along the different decks, bringing this one to its spot here at number 7.
I'm just simply blown away. So freaking happy right now. This waterfall is freaking amazing.
At number 6 is Chapman Falls. Located near East Haddam, Connecticut in the Devil's Hop Yard State Park, Chapman Falls is a 60-foot tall 3-tier block waterfall, and the waterfall is found on a 0.5-mile loop trail that has a difficulty designation of a walk in the woods. I think the reason I really enjoyed this waterfall was all the different little rock outcroppings and cool spots and vantage points you could sit right across from the falls to take it in. And it's such an impressive falls, that's all you really want to do. There's so much water flowing over it on the different tiers that you could just sit there and stare at it for hours. It's just so much fun. What's also nice about this waterfall is that there are 2 very close parking lots that make it very accessible. There's a little bridge across the top so you can look at the waterfall from the top vantage point, and also there's a nice cool covered bridge near the waterfall as well that you can check out. But the reason Chapman Falls gets to get ranked this high in the list is clearly from the quality of the waterfall itself and how much water there is flowing over it and how tall it is. That's what brings it all the way to its spot here at number 6. At number 5 is Yantic Falls. Located near Norwich, Connecticut, Yantic Falls is a 40-foot tall one-tier plunge waterfall, and the waterfall is found at the end of a 0.4-mile out-and-back trail that has a difficulty designation of a walk in the woods. Just wow, Yantic Falls does not disappoint. Clearly the most amount of water we've seen flowing over any one of these waterfalls, and I believe the widest waterfall we're going to come across on this entire list. It does not disappoint. But what's also cool about this one is when you're on that little footbridge looking over over the top of the waterfall. You can even see the narrow gorge that all the water gets crushed into right after it goes over this very wide waterfall. It creates those little kind of rapids as it goes through that gorge, which are also very cool to see. Despite how impressive this waterfall is, what brings it to its spot here at number 5 is the fact that it's not really a hike. It's a very extremely short trail. The parking lot is basically on the other side of the waterfall on that footbridge. So right when you get out of the parking lot, you can cross that footbridge and boom, there you are. There's the waterfall. So nice, easy, and accessible, but nice, easy access to the waterfall across that footbridge and to the various viewpoints across from the falls on the outcropping. One very important warning I need to give you, although as you've seen in some of these shots, there is train tracks and a train bridge right behind the walking bridge. That is an active railroad and there could be trains coming down those tracks, so be aware and always be on guard for that while you're visiting this one. A train could come through. None came through when I was there and I don't know how active it is, but that is always a possibility, so be aware of that. Around those train tracks there is another bridge that goes over the train tracks, so you shouldn't need to cross them yourself, but it is nice that it's there because it makes for a more unique viewing experience while you're taking in the falls. At number 4 is Dean's Ravine Falls. Located near Canaan, Connecticut, Dean's Ravine Falls is a 50-foot tall, 2-tier horsetail cascade and slide waterfall. And the waterfall is found on a 1.3-mile out and back trail that has a difficulty designation of off the beaten path. Dean's Ravine Falls was another very, very scenic waterfall that I could just stare at for hours. I had such a great time when I visited this falls. There's a very pleasant hiking trail that takes you along the brook all the way up to the falls. I believe that's part of the Blue Blazed Mohawk Trail that goes a couple miles across the state of Connecticut. But when you come in that morning hour like I did, that sun shines just behind the top of the falls, giving you that nice little bit of light as it cascades down that cool little sideways slide. It was a very uniquely shaped falls, so I really enjoyed checking this one out. Of note, there is a smaller cascade up the stream if you want to check that out, but I think the main attraction here is the falls itself, and it's cool. There is a little shelf you can climb up to that's about halfway up the falls, so you can get a little bit closer to it, but it's also impressive taking it in right there from that bottom part of the trail. So it's with the combination of how nice and scenic and uniquely shaped this waterfall is, the larger amount of water that's flowing over the top of it, and just how nice, tall, and big it is compared to yourself that brings this one all the way to its spot here at number 4. At number 3 is the Wadsworth Big Falls. Located near Middlefield, Connecticut, and inside the Wadsworth Falls State Park, Wadsworth Big Falls is a 25-foot tall, 1-tier block waterfall. And the waterfall is found at the start of a 1.5-mile loop trail that has a difficulty designation of a walk in the woods. We have another truly impressive block waterfall here with Wadsworth Big Falls. I loved how close I was able to get to this one. It was really awe-inspiring seeing the water crash down right next to me. So this one is located inside a state park, which does require you to pay if you have out-of-state license plates, but it is free for residents of Connecticut. Additionally, while you're visiting Wadsworth Big Falls, feel free to take another little hike around the corner to Wadsworth Little Falls. Not nearly as impressive, but it is there, and if you're there checking out one, feel free to check out the other as well. What made this one truly fun is that you can get at it both from the bottom, and there's a cool little walkway along the top, so you can get great vantage points of the water going over the falls and then see the water as it comes down towards you. That's what brings this one all the way up to its spot at number 3. At number 2 is Great Falls. Located near Canaan, Connecticut, Great Falls is a 50-foot tall one-tier block waterfall, and the waterfall is found on a 0.6-mile out-and-back trail that has a difficulty designation of a walk in the woods. Now, I think clearly a lot of you could see why some people call this the Niagara Falls of Connecticut. I was just simply blown away. No wonder they call it Great Falls. It was certainly great the day that I went. Just a jaw-dropping amount of water flowing over those falls. The entire flow of the Housatonic River is just falling 50 feet over that waterfall. Such immense power. I was freaking blown away. And you might think this means it would deserve the top spot on the list, but unfortunately I have to tell you, this is a seasonal waterfall. You only see this amount of water flowing over the waterfall during dam releases, during the majority of the year, during the summer. All of that water is siphoned off into the dam to generate power for the surrounding towns. So to see this amount of water, you have to come when they are doing dam releases, such as I did, which is typically in the spring. During the summertime, there's a whole lot less amount of water going over this, so it would make it not as impressive. Additionally, the trail is rather basic and just goes along one of the banks, but it does take you to a few different viewpoints along the way, both at the top of the waterfall with a little fenced-in area and farther down the stream so that you can look back on the falls from the riverbed. But if you are lucky enough to come see this fall in the spring when there's a full dam release, you will be absolutely blown away and understand why it earned its spot here at number 2.
First one of the day, that's a big one, holy cow. Look at all that water. Raging river, that's for sure. Oh, we're at the top.
Now, before we make it all the way to number 1, let's check out some honorable mentions. Up first, we have the very aptly named Blackledge Falls, which is located in Glastonbury, Connecticut. The waterfall is 25 feet tall and is a nice little plunge waterfall. I just really wish that this one had more water going over it. It's kind of just a trickle, just enough to make the ledge black, as the name of the waterfall suggests. But if you're lucky like I was, you might just be able to see a nice little rainbow for your trouble. Next, we have the ephemeral Mark Carmel Spring Falls, a 76-foot tall, I'm just gonna call it a water trickle. I don't really think you should go check this one out. It's not really even a waterfall, but some people claim it's one of the tallest waterfalls in the entire state of Connecticut. But all they tell you is that it's located in Sleeping Giant State Park, which is not very helpful at all. I'm including it on my list here to give definitive location data for where to find this waterfall if you really insist on finding it. And lastly, we have the magnificent Campbell Falls. Such a great waterfall. It even has its own Connecticut State Park named after it. But why isn't it part of the list, Adam, you ask? Why is it just an honorable mention? Well, that's because it's technically not a Connecticut waterfall. The state park is located in Connecticut, you park in Connecticut, you hike the trail in Connecticut, but the waterfall is literally located 20 feet across the Massachusetts border. So this is a Massachusetts waterfall. So unfortunately, I technically can't even include it in the list. But if I did, it would easily be a top 10 Connecticut waterfall, maybe even a top 5. Definitely make sure to come check this one out. And that means that the best waterfall hike in the state of Connecticut is at Kent Falls. Located near Kent, Connecticut and inside Kent Falls State Park, Kent Falls is a series of 3 plunge, horsetail, and cascade waterfalls with a total drop of around 250 feet. And the waterfalls are found on a 1-mile out and back trail that has a difficulty designation of off the beaten path. Truly some impressive waterfalls. It's so cool how you can see Kent Falls directly from the parking lot as you walk up. You see all those 3 tiers, maybe 4 tiers all at once as you approach. And that's just the one part of the waterfall. I really liked how unique these waterfalls were. When you hike up to the waterfall higher up on the stream where it just plunges straight in and then fans out, they're just so uniquely shaped and large in size and so much water flowing. So much to see along that brook, and it's also nice that there's a lot of other landmarks along the way, such as the covered bridge right near the parking lot. Of note also, this one is inside the state park, which also requires an entry ticket for those out-of-state cars, but once again is free for Connecticut residents, and boy should they come check it out. It is quite a nice high-quality waterfall that I thoroughly enjoyed, that helped earn its spot here all the way at number 1. And that's that. I hope you enjoyed the video. I got nothing else for you. Now go get hiking.